Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, I welcome all devotees for today's Janmashtami festival, series of classes on first 6 chapters of Krishna book. So the topic that is given to me is third chapter, that is birth of Lord Shri Krishna. So on all our flyers that we are distributing for the Janmashtami invite, we have added this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9. So it says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sarjuna. So it says, anyone who understands the birth or appearance of the Lord and his activities to be transcendental, that personality, once he goes back to the spiritual world, he never comes back into the material world of suffering. So we see that our birth in this material world is based on our past deeds. We are applicable. The law of karma is applicable on the conditioned living entities in this world. And based on our past deeds, we take birth into a particular body out of 84 lakh species. However, for the Lord, when he has to appear, obviously here he talks about Krishna's birth, but actually he appears. So he appears on his own will. He doesn't require. He is not bound by any laws because of which he is forced to take birth in a certain condition, in a certain situation. He appears whenever he wants to. He appears at his own will, wherever he wants to. The various avatars that we have seen, like as Vara avatar, he appeared out of nose of Brahma. So there is no planned place from where, as Narasimha Devi appears from a pillar. So it doesn't need a biological mother and father. In the last chapter also, previous class, described how appearance of Lord Krishna doesn't happen through the seminal transfer from father to mother. It's not required. Lord can appear from wherever he wants based on his sweet will. So here also, when Lord Krishna appeared, it was out of his own sweet will. So when the time came for Lord to appear, all the constellations became very auspicious. Especially Rohini Nakshatra, it says, it became very predominant. Now Rohini Nakshatra is something that is under the control of Brahma. And even other stars like Ashwini, they all were aligned perfectly to make the whole atmosphere auspicious. So here we see that based on Krishna's appearance, all other things aligned themselves to make everything auspicious. All the planetary systems, they automatically adjusted themselves in a way that the situation was perfectly auspicious. It talks about, there is description of how the nature was, how the situation of the sky was. So there was peace and prosperity everywhere in the atmosphere. Everywhere it was seen that there were signs of good fortune. rivers were full with waters, lakes had lots of lotuses blooming, water lilies blooming. No. Forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. So just before the appearance of the Lord, all this situation took place. No. All the birds were chirping and cooing in their different voices, and that was making all the atmosphere very graceful. Peacocks were dancing in pairs. Winds blew and they took aromas of different flowers and they carried the aromas throughout wherever the winds flew. No. So this was the situation around. Now what had happened was, because of the rule of tyrants like Kamsa and others, the Brahmanas who would perform their daily sacrifices every day for the pleasure of Lord, but because of Kamsa and many others, they had, you can say, banned, or they would not allow this Brahmanas to perform their sacrificial duties. So because these Brahmanas, they could sense that Lord Krishna is going to appear, and it mentions there how they could understand. There were transcendental vibrations that they heard in the atmosphere proclaiming that Lord Krishna is going to appear. And based on that, they became very happy that they will be able to resume their Brahminical services and mainly fire sacrifices. No. How was the situation in the heavens? So the denizens of heavens, the Gandharvas, Kinnaras, they began to sing in glorification of the Lord. No. Charanas and Siddhas, they started offering prayers to Lord Krishna. And angels, Apsaras, Vidyadharas and their wives, they started performing dances for the pleasure of the Lord. No. So demigods showered flowers from the heavens. The situation of the seashores was all the waves had become mild. No. And the clouds above the sea, they would thunder very gently. No. And after all these situations happened, all the atmosphere had become very pleasant. That's the time Lord appeared in front of Devaki in his four-handed Vishnu form. Now Lord's appearance here, it mentions he appeared like the rising moon from the eastern horizon. And through this situation, so now Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, that is Ashtami. So generally the moon's size is very small, but it appears that the moon was like just like a full moon. No. So the understanding given is, because Krishna appears in the moon dynasty, no, Krishna is one of the kings who appears in the dynasty of Soma, and because he appears in the same dynasty and he is the glory of the dynasty, that's why the moon became overjoyed. And despite his situation of the 8th day of waning, he appeared so happy that it was as good as full moon. No. So there is one book called as Kamanikya, astrological book, which explains all the situation that happened here during appearance of Lord Krishna, how it was very auspicious, no? How the arrangements of the planets and the stars, no, all that situation, how it was perfectly aligned as per astrology. No. Now when Lord Krishna appeared in front of Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared in a four-handed form. No. He had all his jewels. No. He had his armlets. He had his crown. No. He had his Kaustuva money on his neck. No. He had his conch, mace, lotus flower, chakra, all that he was carrying. And Vaidurya stone on his mukut. No. So in the material world, we don't find when a child is born, no, the child is born with any ornaments. generally there is all dirt, there is all debris coming out. No? But here in Krishna's case, no, beautiful Krishna had appeared with all his ornaments on ready, and that was quite surprising for Vasudev. No. And one more important feature it mentions is Krishna's curly locks of hair. There was lots of hair on the head of the baby. No. So generally that's not the case. When a child is born, there's hardly any hair on the head. So Krishna was born in this situation, and seeing this, Devaki and Vasudeva were overjoyed. Now Vasudeva was in the prison, and the general trend or practice of offering charity whenever there is some auspicious event, not just birth, any other event happening. So people in general in the Vedic times, especially Kshatriyas, would offer in charity to whoever possible, especially sages and Brahmanas. But even apart from that, they would offer in charity to whoever was qualified to receive the charity. So here Vasudeva was thinking, he was overjoyed by the situation, and he realized that this is Supreme Lord who has appeared. So he thought, how do I offer charity now? I want to offer cows to the Brahmanas. But then he realized his situation, and he thought, I can offer that in mind. So Prabhupada explains there that many a times we may not physically have the resources to offer to Krishna in our personal situation. Yet, in our mind, if we desire so, we can still offer the best of the things to Krishna. So we know the story of the Brahmana in Pratishtanapur. He was a very poor Brahmana, and he wanted to offer sweet rice to the Lord, but he hardly had any resources. So what he did was, in his mind, he started preparing the sweet rice. So this is called as Manas Puja. So he started preparing the sweet rice. He got the best quality of rice. Say in Maharashtra you can have Ambe Mohor, and got the best quality milk. We are offering A2 milk for Abhishek of the Lord, and then sugar and all the spices to be added. And he started preparing the sweet rice. And while preparing the sweet rice, he was meditating. I'm going to offer this to the Lord. And while the sweet rice was getting ready, Lord is discussing with Lakshmi the devotion of this Brahmana. And once it was ready, he thought that I should not offer hot sweet rice to the Lord. His tongue will get burnt. So in his meditation, what he did was, he placed his finger in the pot of sweet rice, and his finger got burnt. So Krishna immediately sent his Vaikuntha plane to receive this Brahmana, because he saw his qualification and dedication to serve the Lord. So this is one example where one, even if materially not qualified or materially not having resources to offer to the Lord, still one would desire. Just that I want to serve the Lord in a certain way, even the desire itself is glorious. So Vasudeva, he offered all this thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmanas and sages. And because he realized that Krishna had already appeared now, based on the features and the situation, that made Vasudeva free from all the fear, because already 6 children were killed and ruthlessly in front of him and his wife. So now that Lord had appeared, the Akashvani that had happened during the Kamsa carrying Devaki and Vasudeva, So that had come true. So Vasudeva was very happy and his fear was all gone that now Krishna has appeared and he will destroy Kamsa. So after this what comes is Vasudeva offers his prayers to Lord Krishna. No. He folded his palms and he started offering prayers. So I'll just read some sections of the prayers as it is. And my dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul of all living entities and the Absolute Truth. You have appeared in your own eternal form, which is directly perceived by us. I understand that because I am afraid of Kamsa, you have appeared just to deliver me from that fear. You do not belong to this material world. You are the same person who brings about the cosmic manifestation simply by glancing over material nature. No? And then he describes various features of Lord Krishna. So one argument that may come is how can the Supreme Lord appear in the womb of Devaki? No? So Vasudeva, to eradicate this argument, now how can the Supreme Lord be born in an ordinary living entity, in the womb of an ordinary living entity? So he says that Krishna, you as Mahavishnu, you generate so many universes from the pores of your body. No? And from in those universes, you again expand yourself and you expand yourself into your plenary portions as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and you reside in each of these planets to take charge of these planets in Brahmandas. And within each Brahmanda, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu further expands into Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and enters into every living entity. No? So the Paramatma that we talk about is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is present in every living entity along with the soul. Apart from that, this Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is also present in the atom, no? Each and every atom. So in Brahma Samhita it says, Andantarastha Chayanupara. Yeah. So in Brahma Samhita it says that the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu or Lord is present even in the atoms. No, each and every atom Lord is present. So here Vasudeva is making this explanation that if Krishna can appear in each and every Brahmanda, if he can appear in each and every living entity's heart as Paramatma, no, if he can appear in each and every atom, so why can't he appear within the womb of Devaki? No, and that's how he explains that Lord has appeared in the womb of Devaki. And yet he can still continue to remain outside the womb as well. No? So Krishna can expand into millions of forms simultaneously and be present everywhere simultaneously. Then he goes on to pray, one has to understand your appearance with great intelligence because the material energy is also emanating from you. No? You are the original source of material energy, just as the sun is the source of sunshine. The sunshine cannot cover the sun globe, nor can the material energy, being an emanation from you, cover you. You appear to be in three modes of material nature, but actually three modes of material nature cannot cover you. Then he talks about how the Brahman effulgence, the light that we see around, is sourced in Krishna. No? Even in the prison house, when Krishna appeared, the whole prison house, it lit up by the effulgence coming from the body of Krishna. So Krishna is the source of the Brahman effulgence, is what Vasudeva concludes there. No? Another argument which Vasudeva makes is here, because Krishna has appeared, it may appear like he has born out of matter. No, he has taken up But in Bhagavad Gita explains that all this Panchadhatu, Bhumir, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kham, Mano, Buddhi, Revacha, Ahankara, Iti, Amme, Bhinna, Prakritir, Ashtada. So he says all these 8 energies, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, are all energies of Krishna. So here Vasudeva says that even if he takes up a form with all this, no, still he is not to be considered as made of matter, or he is not to be considered controlled by material energy. He is still beyond it. No. So then he goes on to offer various prayers. And then he says that, O Lord, you have appeared here to kill uncivilized Kamsa and all his followers who have created havoc on the earth. And as soon as he hears, because Kamsa had already killed the 6 children, so Vasudeva, he kind of alarms Krishna that now that you have appeared, as soon as he comes to know that the 7th child has appeared, he will come and he will try to kill you with all sorts of weapons. No? So after Vasudeva was done offering his prayers, then Devaki offered her prayers to Krishna. No? So Devaki till then, because she saw a ruthless murder of her 6 children, she was very fearful all the time, because Kamsa can come anytime and kill. And now that Krishna has appeared, she was worried from the maternal affection point of view. She was worried about Krishna's well-being. So that's her Vatsalya Bhav. So we discussed Vatsalya Bhav some days back, how Krishna can be served in the mood of parental affection. So she was worried that Kamsa can come anytime and he will try to kill you. So then she says, my dear Lord, your eternal forms like Narayan, Lord Ram, Varaha, Narsimha, Vaman, Baldev, and millions of seminal incarnations emanating from Vishnu are described in Vedic literature as original. You are original because all your forms are incarnations, as incarnations are outside of this material creation. Then she says that your form always existed even when the material cosmic manifestation wasn't present. So like this she goes on offering her prayers, and then she says, even when the whole creation is annihilated at the end of Brahma's lifetime, all the Brahmandas or all the material manifestation, it goes back into Mahavishnu's body. So she says that even at that point of time when complete annihilation happens, Lord is still present, Mahavishnu is still present, and he is present in his transcendental name, form, qualities and paraphernalia. Then she goes on to pray, all the conditioned souls are continually fleeing from one body to another and one planet to another, yet they do not get free from onslaught of birth and death. But when one of these fearful living entities comes under the shelter of your lotus feet, he can lie down without anxiety of being attacked by formidable death. This statement by Devaki is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by Lord himself. There the Lord says that even after traveling all over the universe, Abrahma Bhuvana Aloka Punar Avartina Arjuna Mahamupetyatu Kaunteya Punar Janmana Vidyate. So there Krishna says that from the hellish planets till Brahmaloka, no one has escaped birth, old age, disease and death. But anyone who becomes Krishna conscious and goes back to the spiritual world, he never takes birth again. And then Devaki says that therefore I request you to please protect me from the cruel hands of Kamsa. Please rescue me from this fearful condition. You are always ready to give protection to your servitors. And then she says the statement which Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, no? Kaunteya pratijani name bhaktya pranashyati. So where Krishna tells Arjuna to declare boldly to the world that anyone who becomes my devotee, I would provide him protection and he will never be vanquished. No? So then after all these prayers where she describes supremacy of the Lord, then Mother Devaki, she expresses her motherly affection. No? I understand this transcendental form is generally perceived in meditation by great sages, but I am still afraid because as soon as Kamsa understands that you appeared, he might harm you. So she is fearful that Krishna might be harmed by Kamsa, no? And she raises her concern there. After hearing all these prayers of Vasudeva and Devaki, and then Lord Krishna, he begins to speak. No? Then Krishna reminds Devaki and Vasudeva of their previous births. No? Says that in the previous millennium, in Treta Yuga, I appeared as Prishni Garbha, no? Where you were Prishni and Sutapa. So Devaki was Prishni and Vasudeva was Sutapa. And they had performed austerities for 12,000 celestial years. No? So it's like the calculation of 1 day of heavenly planets is like 6 months on the earth, and 1 night of heavenly planets is 6 months on earth. So like that 12,000 celestial years, which is a huge span, they had performed huge austerities, because of which Krishna appeared to them as Prishni Garbha. No? And then in the next birth, where they appeared as Aditi and Kashyapa, Krishna was born as Vamanadev. No? He appeared as the dwarf form to deliver Bali Maharaj. And then in the third lifetime, so Krishna had given this benediction that he will appear 3 times to them. And that's why they continued to remain in the material world. So when offered the option of liberation, Devaki and Vasudeva had chosen over continuing in the material world so that Krishna can continue to appear through them in the 3 different lifetimes. So here it says, so that Krishna can appear, they had to give up their austerities and engage in material life as husband and wife, and engage in sexual in sex life, so that Krishna could be born. Here it says, their desire, though Krishna was born through them, their desire was still material. No, they wanted to engage in sexual affairs and continue to be in the material world. So there Prabhupada explains in the purport that the goal for a spiritual sadhaka, or the goal for a living entity who is wanting to go back to the spiritual world, is to become nishkinchana, no, without any material desires. So we are in the material world because we are caught up with so many material desires. No? Each material desire manifests into a material body or one more life in the material world. So there it says Niskinchana. So in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quote this, Niskinchanasya Bhagavan Bhajanon Mukasya Param Param Jigimeshwar Bhavasagarasya. So anyone who wants to cross over this material nations of material oceans, he needs to give up all material desires and engage in Krishna's service. No. So in other words, to appear in the material world, Lord selected them as his mother and father. Goes to show that they are not ordinary living entities. In one of the verses of the same chapter, it mentions that Devaki is of the same type as Krishna, no? Which means they are no ordinary living entities. They are from the spiritual world, associates of the Lord. So I have 2 minutes left. So after Krishna explained all these details, just so that Vasudeva and Devaki are convinced that this is Supreme Personality of Godhead who has appeared, he gave details of who they were in their last 2 lifetimes as Prishni and Sutapa and Aditya and Kashyapa. And now that he has appeared to them as Krishna himself. So just so that they are convinced that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, he gave all these pramanas while he spoke. And then Krishna instructed Vasudeva that now you can take me to Gokula. No? And then the situations changed. So he said that, so Krishna explained that Yogamaya is going to take birth through Yashoda in Gokul, and you can carry me to Gokul and exchange me in place of Yogamaya and bring Yogamaya here. No. So under the influence of Yogamaya, suddenly all the situations changed. All the guards, they fell fast asleep. And it started raining heavily, it became very dark. And then Vasudeva's shackles, they were automatically removed. And Vasudeva, he started taking Krishna towards Gokul. So as soon as he walked out of the prison, Ananta Sheshnag, he came for protection. So he followed Vasudeva behind him, protecting him from the rains, protecting him against any obstacles that would come. And when Vasudeva reached on the banks of Yamuna, already there was huge waters in the Yamuna, not possible to cross. And there were huge waves there. There was a lot of foam there. And when he arrived on the banks of Yamuna, Yamuna made way for Vasudeva, just like the ocean had made way for Lord Ram, to cross over to Lanka. And then Vasudeva crossed over the river Yamuna by walking. And once he crossed, he entered into Gokul. And he saw that all the cowherd men, all were sleeping. Because of the influence of Yogamaya, everyone was asleep. There was no one awake. He entered into the place where Nanda Maharaj resided. And there he exchanged Krishna with Yogamaya. And then he brought back Yogamaya along with him, and he placed her in front of Devaki. Now Yashoda Mai, when she gave birth to Yogamaya, because of the labor pains, she wasn't conscious whether she gave birth to a boy or a girl. And that's why when she woke up and Krishna was there, she didn't realize that whether she had given birth to Yogamaya or Krishna. So this is how Krishna appeared in the prison house, and then he was transferred to Gokul. And this is what describes in the 3rd chapter of the Krishna book, the birth of Lord Krishna. There are some lessons, I'll just pick one which Prabhupada explains in the purport. There is a lot of material that could be discussed, but I'll just focus on one. Okay, so one of the lessons is Sutapa and Prishni, they had to perform austerities almost for 12,000 celestial years so that Prishni Garbha would be born. So there in the purport, Prabhupada explains that if you want Krishna as your son, it's not going to be an ordinary task. The amount of austerities that you will have to perform and the time that you will have to perform those austerities is going to be huge. in comparison to that, Prabhupada says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the most magnanimous form, has appeared and given the most easiest process of chanting of the holy names by which one can become Krishna conscious and go back to the spiritual world where one can get association of the Lord. No? So though their desire was spiritual, to have Krishna as their son, but the time span that they had to spend performing those austerities, which ideally none of us will be able to perform. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has offered the easiest process of chanting of the holy names, and by chanting one can purify one's heart and become fully Krishna conscious and become eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. So on this auspicious occasion of Janmashtami, we can pray to Lord Krishna that we be engaged in His service by mind, body and words, and be able to chant His holy names and purify our heart and be engaged in Krishna consciousness and perfect our lives. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Janmashtami Mahamahotsav ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Thank you very much.